Hello and welcome to Discover Your Sanctuary. You're going to be so glad you're on this episode where you can discover and explore what is that spiritual pull you feel. Is that calling that you're hearing sometimes, but maybe you have your foot in another way and you're feeling the pull there and you're kind of going back and forth between. We're going to explore that and explore if you can trust that calling. Our guest today is Janet Miller. Janet Miller is the woman behind Own Your Divine Light show. She is an LPN, a licensed practical nurse, an intuitive energy healer, and certified holistic health practitioner that enables people to renew and reconnect to their life, radiance, purpose, balance, and well-being in a safe and sacred space. Welcome, Janet. We are so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Kate. I'm so honored to be here. It's really wonderful.
Good. Well, as I was reading that, my practice is the sanctuary physical therapy, and one of the things I always say is creating sacred space, creating sacred space in our bodies by releasing the tensions and the restrictions that we no longer need to hold on to, and creating sacred space in our lives for ourselves and just to be real. So how do you create sacred space?
Yeah, thank you, Kate. Well, I've always had different practices. It seems like something keeps coming and then I switch, like there's another level I have to go to. But basically, I really find grounding every day is so important. Like when I get up, when I really want to ground, I have to sit in my healing room and I do my grounding prayer, and I light a candle sometimes, or many times I spray my aura essence, which I really love, which is a rose essence, which is another grounding energy that I enjoy. I take my tingshaws and I clear the area with the bells, because I love bells. And then I just sit in meditation and I visualize the energy going up and down and connecting to our Earth Mother and to the heavens, and calling in all my guides and angels, and and actually have the cosmic flush come through to clear out anything that might be stuck and in the way, and send it into the earth to have it burn up into light and be transmuted into light. So and that's my biggest practice that I do, because I really love that. But then I also say the most benevolent outcome prayer, which I absolutely adore. One of my speakers who I've been following for years was Tom T. Moore, and he brought through the most benevolent outcome prayer, which he actually had created in Atlantean times. He's from Atlantis originally, which I know I have roots there as well. And I don't know if your people, if you're interested in Atlantis, but to me, it's an amazing place that where many of us are back from Atlantis, if you believe in reincarnation, that is. And so this most benevolent outcome prayer really helps me to let go of the stress in my life. Like when you say the prayer, you give it to all the beings of light who are in service to you. I am asking for the most benevolent outcome, and you name it. Like, I need more money, or I need more time, or I need to find that thing I just lost, or I need my daughter to sell her house quickly because she needs to turn it over. Whatever it is, you ask for it, and then you put it out to the universe, and you say, if this is from their highest good or my highest good, even better than we can expect or hope for. And then I just let it go, because the universe will bring it to us in whatever time the universe decides is appropriate. Because we think we know what's the right time for us, but the universe always knows so much more than we do. It knows that this time will get even better if it's the most appropriate time. And so it always comes through. And even if I'm looking for a parking spot, I use that. And it relaxes me, and it lets go of the stress in my life. And I stop worrying about things anymore. I just stop worrying.
It probably also, it sounds like it makes you feel connected. I think a lot of times as humans, we can feel so lonely and isolated, especially in our culture now. There's so much information coming in. We're connected through technology, but we miss some of that face-to-face connection, time together, and we can feel actually disconnected from ourselves sometimes, and also from the divine. And so I love the beauty of that prayer of not only asking, you ask for what you want, but there's also a surrender in that, a surrender to a higher consciousness that has a perspective greater than our human perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really beautiful thing. And it does take away worry, right? Because then we're not doing it on our own. It's not our responsibility solely. We're wanting the best for everyone, and we're flowing within that consciousness, and really letting it come through us, and being, I'm not finding the right word, a servant of that, or that might not be the
I think
right
the
word.
word that you use, surrender, is a great word, because you just let go of it. And, I say the prayer for so many people. I mean, you can learn it yourself, obviously, which is the most easiest way to get it to work in your life. And, but people call me up all the time and say that prayer for me, Jenna, say that prayer. Or my dad needed this help in the hospital. And when you said the prayer, the doctor just walked in the door and he gave him the answers we were looking for, because he wasn't looking right after a surgery. And then everything started flowing again, and everything got straightened out. And so it brings these miracles into your life. It's an amazing prayer. The power of it blows my mind. Even my husband, who, took him a while to get into this stuff, said, say that prayer. He says it all the time. Say the prayer for me. We're looking for a parking spot. Let's say that prayer. Set it up. Let's get it ready. Or, we're going on the trip tomorrow to visit my daughter in Texas. And so I'm going to say the prayer before I get on the plane to, protect the luggage, have a good partner, people sitting with us, because there's usually an extra seat there. So let's bring in somebody who's really nice. Let's, you make the intention, and you ask for this. And when you ask, you always get really even better than you expect. It's amazing. And so this, like you said, when you put that prayer out, you don't have to make it super specific. You can give an idea of what you want, but don't make it so specific. Although if it's something, you can ask for it, you may not get it exactly the way you ask, because as I said, the universe will give it to you the most appropriate way that it will work best for you, that you wouldn't have even thought of.
Well, and I love that you're saying you have practices with this. This series is called Discover Your Sanctuary. And sometimes we think we're supposed to just automatically be connected, but we brush our teeth every day. We have practices to take care of our body. Why would we not have practices to take care of our spirit and our soul and our connection? I think of other prayers that are in that same vein, like the Lord's Prayer, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. That has the element of surrender in it too, of a higher will. And so I love that you're already bringing that in for us. And I want to ask you, in your personal journey, was it always there and obvious, or because you are also in the medical field and that can be very scientific, were there times where you maybe went back and forth between seeing the spiritual side of things and a scientific side, that I think we're knowing more as more research is coming out how connected those are, but for a while they felt more separate. What was your journey like with that?
Yeah, well, I had to have a huge wake-up call, which was to stepping into 12-step programs and getting sober, which I've been 27 years sober. So that was a big wake-up call for me.
Congratulations.
And so that really started the door to my spirituality opening, because I was a Catholic school girl, 12 years of Catholic school, I had the nuns my whole life. And it was, and I didn't totally buy into it. I was like, I love these stories because I love the miracle stories. I love the fishes and the loaves. I love all that kind of thing. Because that, like, how could they make that up? Where did that come from? You can't make that up. So it has, to me, it had a real signature of this is really possible. So that kind of sparked my connection to spirituality, which was not necessarily religion. And so I found that once I got into the program, the 12-step program, they had a whole new look at spirituality, which just opened the doors to me seeing things in such a different way. And I really, really, it just opened everything for me. And then Reiki showed up in my life. And someone did Reiki on me one day, said I have a headache. And she said, oh, sit down and let me work on you. And all of a sudden I just felt this amazing energy pour over me. It was like a mother's hug. It was like I was immersed in this huge hug of an energy. And I said, what is that? Oh, the peace that I felt and the energy, the relaxation that it brought me. I mean, my headache immediately had disappeared. And I thought, I need more of that. I got to know more about this. And so soon after that, I found a Reiki master and I studied it. And then from there, I said, but I need more. This isn't enough. I need more. So I went on to healing school for 3 years and then just kept going, keep studying different modalities, the reconnection and sound healing and different things. So I just kept going till I felt I was full for a while, so now I'm kind of like opening the doors again, and I'm bringing in some new information and some new learnings, which is just because we're growing. I mean, since I've been in the programs and got into spirituality, I mean, life has just shifted dramatically. I mean, I feel like I've lived multiple lives in this one life. I think all of us do, because we've done so many new things in this life. We've changed things constantly. Challenges come up and I think most of us are really on, seeking the path and are open to it. Their lives has changed dramatically, and we keep going forward, even though we might be nervous or scared and doubt things. You push through the doubt. And once you get through it and you're on the other side, you say, wow, that wasn't so bad. So the next time you get this challenge, even though it can be daunting, you'll go, okay, I got through that last one. Why can't I can do this one too. I know I can get through it. I may be scared. I may be uncomfortable, but you know what? That's how we grow. We grow when we're uncomfortable. We don't grow when we're sitting and we're comfortable. And, we're stuck kind of. If you're too comfortable, you can be stuck and you're probably not even happy in your life. I think life is more fun when you're challenging yourself. I mean, I enjoy the adventure of that. And I enjoy the knowledge that I keep gaining. It's like, really? I don't think I'll ever stop, because I think it's so important to keep growing and expanding, and then helping people, being able to pass this on to others and to help them grow through what you've learned, because we all help each other. It's, it's like a pay it forward movement, really, in the long run, because we're all paying it forward, because we've been given this information. We've learned through it. We've grown through it. We've healed through it. And now we can help the person behind us who's just opening up to, like, wow, I need something new. I need something different. I need to change what's going on in my life.
I love that connection that you're talking about, that we don't have to be isolated, and we can be connected to our higher power, and we can be connected to each other and help one another. And I think so many people are feeling that discord or that angst. Things seem like they're happening so quickly, and change is happening quickly. And it is good to hear someone else say that, there's these shifts happening and you're trying to keep up with it. Sometimes you feel like you're running behind it. Sometimes you're ahead of it. And sometimes it's so exciting, but it is that vitality and that life flowing through, rather than being stuck in one place. And there are times we can feel stuck, or we feel stressed or overwhelmed or burnt out. And you gave us a practice with the grounding to come back and start to nourish ourselves. I loved what you said, the cosmic flush.
Yeah, that really helps. It really helps. I mean, it's similar to, when you did the roots, when we did a little one before, you did a practice, and I just add a little more on it, because I do the cosmic flush and I connect to our soul monad group. And it's just, you learn through different things. I just kept adding, and it's like, wow, now it's complete. Now I feel like it's a complete practice. Plus I do meditate. I was always meditating off and on. I was in a really good practice for a long time, and then I kind of let it slide, to be honest. I'll be really transparent. And now I'm back into it. And I will say it, and I really want to tell people, you don't have to be meditating for hours like the old ways. Like, you'd have to go into those hour-long meditations, 45 minutes. No, you can use 5 minutes. I mean, honestly, because our lives are so busy, and I understand that, but this is becoming the human being again, when we can be in stillness to allow that universal energy to come through. And it's just sitting there quietly, asking your guides to come through and help clear the energy, so that you can just be present in that moment. And really being present, the more you do it, the more you want to do it. So you expand it a little more, like 20 minutes or half an hour, whatever works for you. I mean, it can just stay 5 or 10 minutes. And if you feel good with that and your life is in a nice flow, then it's working for you. That's what you need. Everybody's really different and unique, and we all have different needs, and it works differently for everyone. So I just highly believe in doing some kind of meditation,
Yeah, there's a
because going in is what this energy is all about. We've been always looking out at what's going on in the world, and to go in is so important, because that's how we totally get to know ourselves more, because then we're getting information. The universe is like, when we're still, we can hear what's coming, what we're being told and what we need to hear. And when we're running around being the human doings, there's no time. We're blocking it all out. So I think that's where we get lost. I think that's the part of getting lost, is we get so caught up in being busy. And I think that's the fascination with reality TV in the past few years, that people want to see real people in action, because we're so caught up in being so busy, that reality shows make them say, hey, yeah, people are still fallible. They still make mistakes. They still are crazy in so many ways. All like that, and it's so important to see that in each other. And I think even like the housewives shows, all those things, I mean, you pick a couple and watch it. I mean, I glance at them every now and then, but it's not, but I think they're really interesting to say that people need to see that we're still human beings with human, good and bad sides, and nobody's perfect, and it's okay. And yet, just to learn about yourself. And when you see something you don't like about yourself, so stay in stillness and say, well, what can I do to change it? And you really got to wait for the answer to come. You'll find something will come through. Like, you'll get a little idea to say, okay, maybe I need to call that person and talk to them and shift that energy that we had going on. It's a small thing, but every little step is a change. Every little step you take is a change.
Well, and changing for your, not out of judgment or penalizing yourself, but you have to look at it and know where it's coming from first, and then, oh, there's a little disharmony here. Can I do something to improve that? And I think you're right. Those shifts start to happen within us when we take the time to be still, to connect with ourselves. We're listening to ourselves and our own needs. A lot of times we're so disconnected from our needs in society today. And then we're also listening to our guidance and our own intuition, and the intuition, then the guidance that comes from that greater consciousness that knows so much more than we can know with our thinking brain.
And I understand that greater consciousness is just us and our full soul body. It's our higher soul. It's our true soul. We're an aspect of that soul on this earth. We're a piece of that soul, and we're having this human experience. And there's many pieces of us going through many, like they say, if you know about multidimensionality, that we're multidimensional beings, that there's more than one lifestyle going on, more than one life going on at once. And each one has a small change, a small nuance that changes your life. And what did I hear lately? That the one that's really making the most progress is the one that you're in consciousness with. And this is such an important life, because we're all bringing in all those aspects that we've had over many lifetimes. We're bringing it into this life to create the masters that we are, because everyone on this planet right now is a master. They may not know it. They may not even understand it. They may not ever be aware of it, but they are. And so we are here to collect all those pieces of ourselves. And so I think that's what all this is about, is remembering who we are, remembering that we come from higher source. We're higher beings of source, and powerful.
Well, it is. And people say it in different ways, that we have a creator, and that creative force is breathing us and within each of us. And then you said something too about the masters. How would you define a master? What does that mean to you? How do you use that term?
Well, I think a master is really mastering your dark and your light in your life, because to own your darkness is also to own your light, because you don't see your darkness without the light shining on you. So when I say dark, it doesn't mean you're an evil person. It just means that you've got parts of you you're not happy with. And you're embarrassed by them, or you're ashamed of things you've done and that kind of thing. But when you look at it and go, okay, that was the best I knew at that time, there's nothing else you can do. You've got to forgive yourself. I mean, you don't have to, but to look at it as that's all I knew at the time. And now I know more, I know better. I know another way to do it is to forgive yourself. I think to forgive yourself is the hardest thing, because I think we're the hardest on ourselves. We really are. I mean, if we let everyone hear our own self-talk, I couldn't even imagine what we sound like, because it can be, I know what I can do. I can say sometimes, because you're like impatient with yourself in a way you wouldn't be with other people, because you don't want to look like you're not a nice person, right? But yourself, you're like, what are you doing? You know, and you can't, you know, and but so I think when you own those parts of you, all the parts, and you realize, okay, everyone has these parts. We all do, because we can't grow until we see some of the darkness shines, that helps us shine the light brighter. So then we accept that part, and that to me is learning to love yourself. And that's, my show has talked about self-love a lot, and that's coming into your mastery, of your life. Because when you can own all parts of you, owning your divine light, which is what I call my show, it's that's when you really become that essence, that God essence that you are meant to be on this planet, which is, you know, an aspect of God, the higher soul, the higher consciousness, I call love, really, because I feel like God is love. Because what else makes us happy? What else goes around the world that makes the world important and worth being here, right?
Yeah. Well, and as you're talking, I'm feeling, you know, there are those times where you said something you didn't want to say that way, or you've hurt someone that you care about, and we can be so hard on ourselves, and we forget sometimes as adults that we're still learning. And these are learnable skills too. Sometimes we do something wrong and we think that's the end, you know, that's the mountaintop, that's it's true, I'm horrible, I yelled at my child, you know, and we forget that we are human and we make mistakes, and we can go forward and continue to find the light in us. But sometimes if we're stuck in the darkness or the judgment or the shame, we're just kind of going around the same circle and not moving forward. And so that even though it's hard to forgive ourselves, it's such a freeing piece of the work, don't you think?
Yes, and I think that's why we came about, people that love to do the healing energy work. I mean, I've heard now, you know, don't say healing, because then we're calling people broken. But, you know, I don't think we're broken. We just don't, we can't get out of our own way. So to get out of your own way and to look at something in a different way, you've got to hear it from somebody else in a different light. And so wherever you're attracted to, or whoever you've been guided to, and who you listen to, um, that's the person that's calling you to, that'll help you shift these energies that you're stuck in, and to see your world in a different light, and to look at the things you've done, as you say, with the learning and the wisdom that, okay, I can go past that now. Once you get past it and live in the present and let go of the past, because if you keep thinking about the past, then you're not living in today. You're just not living in today. And so when you work on that energy to let go of it, and you can stay present and also start planning on your future. But, you know, the most important thing is to be present, because then we're missing it all if we don't stay present. We're missing the gifts of what we're here to be part of. Because, you know, when you look at nature, nature is all about being present. And that's, you know, that's like a mirror to us, is the way we're supposed to be, is to be present, like birds and animals and trees and flowers. They're only caring about the moment, that very moment. They're not saying, oh, I don't get to have the sun come out till this time, or I don't get to get my watering done till the rain comes. I mean, they're just present, you know, and they're just here, and they trust. And it's also trust. And I think we're all learning to trust again, trust ourselves, trust the universe, which I call God, love, and to trust ourselves to follow that guidance. And that leads to the self-love, which I think is so important. And, you know, self-love is all about accepting who you are, the light and the dark, and that's bringing you more towards the mastery that you're meant to be in this world. Because that's when we move into that higher consciousness, where we're moving, we're moving into the new earth energies, the 5D, the age of Aquarius, which we've heard about in songs since the 60s. And it's next year. 2020 is the opening of the door of the age of Aquarius officially, they say. And within the next 20 years, this age is going to open up, and we're not going to know this world that we know now. I mean, if you look at Star Trek and those different shows, they talk about our era now as the Dark Ages.
Oh, wow.
I know, they call us the Dark Ages. So we look at the Dark Ages like the medieval times, and that's what I look at anyway. But they're looking at us as the Dark Ages, because we lived in a lot of polarity, the wars, the fighting, the killing. That's darkness. That's going to stop. They're saying we'll have 1,000 years of peace. I can't wait. I can't wait to see that happen. I mean, I think you can start to see it right now, that nobody wants war. I mean, people are going to protect us, and that's so appreciated, because that's a tough thing. But the less the more we can live from our hearts and be more kind to each other. And that's just everybody doing it person to person. It's just small things, small steps, small acts of kindness to each other. Those things just start radiating out to each other, and then it just grows. And it's amazing how those small steps make a difference. I mean, me being sober for 28 years, I had to go one day at a time, sometimes 1 hour at a time, 5 minutes at a time. People, that's how you have to do things sometimes. And yet 28 years have passed.
Wow.
I remember when my son was born, I went, oh my God, I have this baby to bring up. How am I going to do that? It was like such a daunting effort. Like, oh my goodness, now I'm responsible for this human being. But now 33 years later, he has his own son, which I'm so happy for him. And I'm thrilled now to be a grandma, fine,
Yeah.
So I have a 3-month-old grandson. But, these are the things that every small step we take, and it starts to accumulate, and you don't even realize how much has changed in your life and how much you've grown, expanded. And if you're stuck, and you need to ask for help and look for the help, and, ask your guidance to bring the right help in for you. You can ask for this.
Yeah.
We have 2 guardian angels, they say. We're born with 2 guardian angels. They're always here for us. One of my guests was very adamant, because she had seen angels since she was 4 years old. And I'm like, I always knew we had guardian angels, but she was very specific. You have 2. And then after that, you have more people if you want. And you just keep collecting your guides, your beings of light. It could be people you never knew. It could be just soul family, or it could be relatives. There's all kinds of people around you here to help you. We all have an entourage. We're never alone. And so we can ask them, but they won't do anything unless we ask, because it's a free will planet. Yeah. So we have to ask. We have to verbally say it. Out loud is even better. Write it down. When you write it down or say it out loud, it makes that intention known to the universe. If you think it's okay, but it really is much more, it takes on much more meaning, because you're writing it and you're saying it.
Well, and sometimes when you do that, you get a fresh perspective on it, right? I mean, have you ever had the experience of something, someone says something to you and you take it wrong, and that'll happen to me, and I'll play it in my head and I'm trying to figure it out. And then if I talk to a friend and I just say, gosh, I didn't like this, and they said this, all of a sudden it doesn't seem like such a big deal because I've said it out loud, right? It's not alone running around my head, and it has perspective, and then it just sort of can go away. And sometimes not, sometimes it takes more than that, but that makes me kind of laugh at myself that it can get bigger inside your head alone. And then also, as you're talking, I want to say to people, you're describing a peace coming in that I think starts within us. The kindness isn't running around trying to do more and be kinder and do it right. The kindness is loving yourself and connecting to yourself. And when you're doing that, you start to fill up your own cup, if you will. You start to overflow. And as you're receiving in that quiet connection, you have it to give. And then
Exactly.
it's just, it becomes easier to give. And instead of feeling like it's drawing away from you, it's just filling you up more because you're giving with gratitude. Oh, I had quiet time today and I received my own attention. I received divine attention. And then I can look at someone else and I'm full and ready to give to them.
I so agree with you, Catherine, because I know it's like the airplane when, they talk about the oxygen. That's like the most perfect example of giving and receiving yourself, because until you fill yourself up, you cannot help anyone else. You put that oxygen mask on, then you help the child or the person next to you. But if you don't have that oxygen mask, which is you filling yourself up and filling up that cup, you can't give it away because you're depleted. You can't give from an empty well. You really can't. And it doesn't work. It just doesn't work for you or the person you're working with, because then we start getting into resentment, or we get into, wow, I keep giving and giving and what do I get? You've got to fill yourself, and then you don't need that other part. You don't need someone to reciprocate with you all the time. You just say, I'm giving to just give, which is a famous line we've heard quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's a very good line as far as giving, to give someone, to be there for someone, to be of service to somebody.
Yeah.
And that's what this work I find is all about in spiritual work. We're all here to give to each other. We're all here to help each other grow, expand, and create the heaven on earth we've all been waiting for. And we keep talking about, that famous Mayan saying, we are the ones we have been waiting for. That's huge, and I remember seeing that like 15 years ago. I'm like, wow, I didn't quite get it then. We are the ones we have been waiting for. How could that be? But the more you grow and you learn and you expose yourself to spiritual understandings and teachings and your own challenges in life that you've grown through and changed through, you realize that no one's here to help us but us. We're here to help ourselves and to grow through it, and to understand that. That's why I said we're the masters, because we are the ones we've been waiting for. People think, the second coming is coming. Well, we're here. We're the ones who are creating it, because we are the creators of our own reality. We are the creators because we are a spark of the creator. We are a spark of the source. And we create our own realities. And that's another big piece that's really been talked about a lot in the last year or so, that you're responsible for creating your reality, because you create it with your decisions and choices that you make in your life. And if you make, and you can point those fingers out, but every time you point, there's three more pointing back at you, and going, well, you may say they did something, but look at what you chose to follow what they said. You don't have to follow anybody. You have to make that decision yourself. Every decision we make, we have chosen our own. Nobody forces us. Even if you could use an extreme example. You still have a choice there. You can fight, or you can sit and take it, or you can, say a prayer and ask for help. I mean, there's something you can do to try to shift a situation, or to change the decision, or not go down the path that you look like you might be going down the wrong way.
Yeah.
But it takes knowing, and when we go down the wrong way, it's not a mistake. It's just it's a learning. It's a new way of, all right, so you chose that one, it didn't work. So now go try something else. And so it's a constant learning, and that's how we evolve.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And there's also times where I think people would say I didn't have a choice, or something traumatic happened, or beyond, where I don't want people to feel guilty. Like, it's not that you create every single thing, but you
No,
have
but
experiences that you
yes,
have a choice how you respond to those
that's an
experiences.
even better way of putting it. When you have a choice of how you respond, and when you look at what's happened in your life, you can realize that you learned from it, good or bad. Sometimes even the bad stuff has made you have courage, and it's made you be stronger, because you needed to be stronger to go through this next level of growth that you needed to go through. And this 3D reality is not a pleasant place. It's tough. because we live in the good, bad, right, wrong, you know, happy, sad environment, but we're moving into that heart energy, that living from the heart energy, which is, that's why this new pay it forward energy is the opening of the heart, and it's the opening of this new, you know, heart living energy, heart-based living, which I think we're all moving into more and more. And when you move into it, you just, it's like your life starts flowing, and you know, you can move in it and out of it. You don't have to be in it every single day perfectly, but when you're in it, you see how nicely your life is flowing. And when you pull out of it and you go, oh, how come things aren't going so well today? What did I change? And then it's, you got to look at your attitude. You got to look at your mindset. How are you thinking today? Where's your mind at? What are you focusing on? You know, because what we focus on, we attract. Obviously we attract it because that's what we're creating. We're creating this focus, and we're creating that this is what we must want because this is what we're focusing on. And who was I listening to? I don't know if I can say it exactly. I was listening to Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he has some amazing teachings, I have to say. And he talked about when you want to change a behavior, you have to, let's see if I can get this right. It was a really good way to look at it. You have to look at the behavior and be aware of it first. And then if you keep dwelling on it, like this is how people stay in pain for years and years. Like if you had something happen to you that was traumatic, and then you keep thinking about it and you get angry and you hold that anger, and it keeps going on for years and years, you're living in the past that was 10, 15 years ago. You're still angry about something that happened 10, 15 years ago. You're not living in today. You're stuck. You're not living in the moment. So that's what all these wounds and all this healing work was all about, to help us become aware of these things that were traumas in our lives that we got stuck in, and we're like in this wheel that keeps turning and turning, and we can't change it, but we can. Once you become aware of it and you start changing your thinking, or you have a new thought, like, all right, what do I want to create today? You know, if you look at that thought that comes through again, like, you know, I'm really hurting because of this. But he says, even what you're doing now, past what did he say? Past a number of minutes, you're telling yourself a story. You're actually telling yourself a big fat story, because it's changing. It's gone. He says, if you're stuck in something after 2 minutes, then you're making up a story, because it's not true anymore. Because once it happens, you're over it. He says your body will hold it. The more you keep thinking about it and dwelling on it, your body holds it. If your emotions let go of it, you're fine. Your body won't hold it. But if you keep holding it and thinking about it and bringing it in and feeling all this anger, you just keep it churning, then your body starts holding it, so that your body will automatically bring it back to you. You won't even have, it's just an automatic reaction, which I thought was fascinating. It's
Well,
like the neuroplasticity that they talk about.
yeah, and it's also fascinating that you talk about the awareness, because a lot of times we're not aware that we're holding it.
Yeah.
You know, people suppress memories because they're too much at the time, and then when they become in a safe place or strong enough, maybe those memories will surface and then they can be cleared. You know, a lot of those things happen at a subconscious level, and so
Exactly.
that awareness is the first piece, and that's part of connecting to ourselves, right? When we quiet down and connect to ourselves, we can feel what's there.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have to feel it all at once, but you can feel little pieces, and it starts to clear that subconscious, so that you can put in the good messages of hope and love and heart opening that maybe haven't been part of your experience up until that point. And you may do that and they're part of your experience, and then another piece surfaces that you weren't aware of that needs tending and care. And so if we could figure it out with our brains, we would all do it, right? And we can't always figure it out because it's happening at a level that we're not conscious of it. But little pieces will surface and allow us to be aware, and allow us to start to have a choice in the matter of our lives.
Yeah, and that's why I think the energy work came through, is to help people release it. I mean, no one knew about energy work 20 years ago, or there was little bits and pieces coming through, but now it's so I mean, many people know about it. I wouldn't say everybody, but many people are aware of it now. I mean, hospitals offer Reiki to people, and people who would never experience it allow it to come in, and then they're like, wow, this is wonderful. So there's energy work is here to help you clear it, because sometimes you can't do it yourself. You need just like, it's almost like we're the witness for this person to allow themselves to release it, because really we're just a conduit. We're just there to help them. You know, we're the witness. That's the best word I can think of, because they can then feel safe, and it's almost like they're validated that it really did happen. It really is done now, and I've let it go. And then their lives start shifting, and then they're living in the present again, and then they're happy again, and they can make better decisions, and they have more clarity in their life. It's a beautiful thing to, embrace. I think this spiritual work is so important for people, because you can be involved in Western medicine and get help physically, but the spiritual work is a deeper dive. It's all the bodies. It's the emotional, the physical, the spiritual, the mental. I mean, when I learned about that, I said, wow, I had no idea that we could do all that, because it was so new to me. This was in 1999 is when I opened up to it. And I'm like, wow, this is exactly what I wanted to do. So as being a nurse, I would love being of service to people, helping them feel better, all that kind of thing. But this was a bigger way to help people. This was more of a service. I just knew this is what I wanted to do for people. And this is what people needed. This is what people were craving. This is what we were missing. We were missing this part, to clear these energy bodies and to clear our auras, and to know that emotions that are stuck in us cause dis-ease in the body. We've heard these words before, but sometimes you need to hear them again. And, these are the things that we all a lot of us know, because it's something that we've been aware of since we started this work, but a lot of people don't know. They're just waking up to it. And so it's important to bring it out again, because it's like the basics of, spirituality and energy work, to help yourself clear all these 4 levels. And when you clear energetically, the emotions start clearing, the mental body clears up, and the physical symptoms go away. I mean, you hear people having miracles in their life because they could manage. They decided to work with themselves and say, hey, I need to help myself. I can do this. I can make my mind heal myself. I mean, literally, this has happened. When people have gotten diagnoses that they'll never walk again, you know how many people have been able to do it.
Yeah.
They just say, no, I don't believe it, and that's not what I'm going to believe. And they choose to move forward, and somehow they find the right person to help them work through it, or they do it themselves, and it just shifts, and it's amazing. I mean, we're so much more powerful than we know.
Yeah.
And this is that higher aspect of ourselves that we're connecting to again, which, you could hear talked about, very small pieces, ancient times, ancient teachings. We're remembering the ancient ways. We're remembering, and they're becoming the new ways. This is the ways, again, that we need to live and bring into ourselves and help ourselves. And it's not easy. I'm not saying this is an easy thing. It isn't. You need, that's why we're here to help you. That's what this kind of show is about, to bring the information out, to let you know there's so many kinds of possibilities and so much available to you, that you're not stuck. You're not alone. You have opportunities to work with people, talk to people, experience something new that may shift your life forever. And you just keep moving, then you can go forward again.
Yeah. Oh, beautifully said. I'm so glad we're recording that. Beautiful. And you're a whole being. Every aspect of you is important and connected to the other aspects of you. And we can't separate it the way we thought, society maybe thought they could, or studied different pieces of it. Now it's coming back together, and it's such a beautiful time where people are more aware of their whole being and bringing it together. And I want to highlight, you have a free gift that you're offering our listeners.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
The Chakra Masterclass to reclaim your light and recreate your life. And
Yeah.
that's about energy, right? And understanding the energy centers of our body. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, to me, that's the number one thing I find people get the most benefit from is chakra clearing work. And a lot of people don't know what the energy centers are. The energy centers are each level connects to the organs in the body. It connects to your emotions. It connects to those four bodies. And so it's an energetic system that if you can clear those, then disease won't develop. And if it is developing, it's going to stop and it could dissipate. It could totally clear up. I mean, there's miracles that happen, and people, I just know they are. And if you totally embrace that idea that anything is possible, and you open to it, then it comes through for you, and it really does. So I find that this kind of information is so important because it's an ancient knowledge that we're bringing back that people need to know, and it's been around for a number of years now, but it's basics. It's like foundational energy medicine to know about. And I think I love working with the chakra system because to me, that's the healings that I see the people totally shift. And, they come in all forms and shapes. Mine, I work with people when they clear the centers. I see pictures, I see stories, I see past lives. I mean, I get a lot of knowledge, and I don't know their whole stories. I don't know all about them, but then I start talking to them and sharing information, and they're like, oh yeah. And then we start connecting all the pieces, and then they leave and they feel so much lighter. They've let go of stuff that they were holding, going, yeah, I did hold it like that. And I did look at it like that. And you know what? I didn't even realize I still had it in my body. You don't think it's, like you said, it's in the unconscious. And we don't know it's there until you go and do this kind of work, which brings it up and lets it go. It gets it out of your body, which is what the clearing is about. It's all about letting it out of your body. And it's almost like we're here to help you give yourself permission to get it out of your body, because you really can do it yourself if you really want to. We're all here to just be teachers and help you understand there's ways to help yourself. And you can do a lot of it yourself. We want to empower you to know that what it's all about is stepping back into your own power. And that's what the self-love is all about, is to empower you again, to help you love who you are. And when you say empowerment, it's not to be like a dictator or take over somebody or whatever, rule somebody. Empowering yourself to love who you are, as I said, the dark and the light and all that. But anyway, so that's part of that information that's coming through in the chakras. I talk about each one specifically. I it's a lot of fun. I don't really do interactive. It's basically a webinar. It's really a teaching. But I've had a lot of people really enjoy them. And every time I do different things and whatever's going on energetically and astrologically, I bring some of that in to help them understand the connections. And I mean, it just gives people some great basic information, and they love it. They love it. A lot of people are like, wow, I've heard it before, but it's just such good stuff to share and to help you move forward and to understand what energy bodies are all about.
I love that. I love that you're teaching that, and that reclaiming your light, connecting yourself holistically, all parts of yourself. And when it said recreating your life, I read it as recreating for a second. And because when you recreate your life, you can have recreation again. You can enjoy life. And you are just this living example of someone moving through different phases and enjoying life. And now you get this adventure of being a grandma too.
Oh, I know. I love
this
it.
whole
It's so
new little being that coming into your life and the life of your family. And I really appreciate you sharing some of your journey with us and how you've studied this and come to understand the power of connecting to ourselves and loving ourselves and letting things unfold. And I really want to encourage everyone that's listening, wherever you are, it's the right place. Wherever you are in your journey, it's the right place. And you get to just keep going forward and take what fits for you from this and use it to reclaim your own light and connect to that. We want to see your light shine. We want a brilliant world and a beautiful world with open hearts. And that's what I feel we're being called into. And I hope that you have discovered your sanctuary more deeply today and discovered some ways to connect and some concepts and ideas that will help you keep going on the path. I want to say thank you so much, Janet, for joining us, for teaching us, for inspiring us.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for having me. And I just want to say the webinar will be around December 11th. And I do have a call, a discovery call with an activation in it if they want to connect with me later. And that's, I forgot to mention it.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
thank you. Thank you very, very much for all of this. It's such a gift to be sharing this information together and to be on the same path. It's a blessing, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
You are welcome. And for all you listening, make sure you claim the free gifts that you choose and want below, and join us tomorrow on Discover Your Sanctuary for more inspiration, more ways to connect to your beautiful self. We're so glad you're here.